Good morning.
Good morning.
I see the light. Thank you. So this morning, what's up with the science of mind? We all have a story why we're in the chair you're in right now. There was a series of events that conspired to have you in that chair. And let me just share a little bit about how I ended up in the chair, and now in this chair, and now somehow with a stole as a practitioner. So, I was raised as a Southern Baptist in a loving, beautiful, diverse Southern Baptist community. My father was a deacon, my mom was a Sunday school teacher. I felt very enriched in that atmosphere. The only thing that didn't enrich me was my experience of God from the time I was very small. What I knew of the Creator is I felt it in the sunlight, and I felt love, and I felt compassion, and I felt joy. And a lot of times, our services were about how you were going to hell if you didn't do certain things and you weren't a certain person. And I was always asking the question, well, God loves us. God made the sunshine for everyone. Why would God do that? Just to make you some sort of doll that you have, if you don't play this game a certain way, you're gone. Why would God do that? Give you taste and smell and love and all those things just to damn you if you didn't do the right thing. So when I got older, out of my parents' house, I explored, but I explored in conventional Christian denominations. And I shopped around, did Presbyterian, Methodist, did all those things, never even thinking of an alternative way of looking at things. So when I was right before my 30th birthday, one of my dear friends sent me meditation lessons. And I was reading these meditation lessons, and they were about God within me. Scandal. Totally going to hell for reading that. I think I've told you guys that before, that I was reading those and I was, wow. I felt empowered. I was like, this resounds with me. So I began prayer work. We were in Ohio at the time. To ask God, where is my next step spiritually? What should I do? And surprisingly, I got led to a Catholic church. Who knew? It came up. All these people around me were Catholic, and I got led to go to St. Susanna. So my friend said, come with us, you can come. And at St. Susanna, miraculous events lined up. And after 3 masses, I went up and I said, I need to convert. And the lady, the ministerial associate, Chris Krieger, was like, oh, so your husband's Catholic? I went, no. Oh, your family you were raised in was Catholic, you're getting back. No. You've been going to Mass for a long time. No. I think she thought I was crazy. But I realized that this path had been opened, and when Spirit puts something in front of you, if you question it too much, you just need to say yes. Does that make sense? Have you ever had that moment where you have to say yes? And when I said yes in that moment, it led me on a wonderful journey, and I realized that it was leading me back, and I was part of this beautiful, powerful, mystical, loving Catholic community that taught me so much about myself and got me in tune with my roots in Christianity and got me back to looking at who Jesus was and where the scriptures came from and those sort of things. Now, when we moved to Colorado, my husband and I attended a few Catholic masses, and I remember one Sunday we were sitting in Mass, and Spencer just looks over at me and he says, I think we're done. And it wasn't in a way like, I think we're done. It was in a way like, I think we're finished with this. And I said, you know what? I think we are. And I felt kind of weird because I felt kind of like pardon my French, a spiritual slut. What was wrong with me? Baptist, Catholic, I do a little meditation. What is going on? Why can't I just settle down? I'm all around town. So once again, I trusted Spirit, and I left it alone, and I prayed on it, and it turned out that at that time in our journey, we had a lot of things we needed to do for extended family and to settle into this community with our children. So once again, I started praying. God, I need spiritually fed. And someone had given me a Deepak Chopra CD. He was on it with Dr. Susan Orloff about intuition, and it was rocking my world. And I was wanting to attract more of that kind of energy. So I had a boss who was a member at Mile High, and she says, check out my church, check it out. And I checked it out online, and I love what they were saying, but I got to be frank. I am not going to wake up in time to drive 40 minutes up to Mile High. I was like, no, I'll use any excuse in the book not to go if I do this. So I started looking online, and I found the center here in Castle Rock. Now you got to understand, when I was looking at the website, and I don't know how many of you did this before you sat in the chair, I was like, okay, what do these people look like? Do they look weird? What are they trying to say that's weird? What's the symbol? The symbol really wigged me out. We're going to get to the symbol in a minute. But I was like, what's the catch? Is this a cult? I bet you it's a cult. Now back in the day, it would have been really cool. I would have thrown that at my parents like a bomb. Hey, Dad, Mom, I joined a cult. Okay? But now I'm in my 40s, and I really don't want to be a part of a cult. Not so cool and hip anymore. So I came that first Sunday, and I came with my son, Jacob. And I told Jacob, I gave him this pep talk before we left the house. I said, if they're weird, we're gone. They say something weird, we're gone. They do anything weird, we're gone. He's like, okay, Mom, we're gone. I got it. So I grabbed his hand and we walk in. I'm kind of aloof a little bit, and people are really kind. And I met Reverend Marilyn and Reverend Rose. And there was this bald guy here, that not in a Hare Krishna kind of bald, which would have been fine, but in a bald is beautiful kind of bald with a Hawaiian shirt. Who do you think I'm talking about? Okay? And I felt welcomed and I felt loved. But I told Jake, we're sitting on the edge. We're sitting on the edge, okay? We're sitting over there, buddy, because if we got to cut out, no apologies. That's what I also told him. No apologies. It gets weird, no apologies. So I love the meditation and I love the message, and I was like, wow. Kind of wigged me out, the science of mind. I was like, the symbol, And if they would have dropped spiritual mind treatment that first Sunday, I might have walked. I don't know. So I knew that the only way, as I had done with the Catholic Church, the only way I was going to find out about this movement, this philosophy, this way of doing things, was if I started taking classes. And so I started with the Foundations class. And a lot of the material I'm going to use today comes from my Foundations class notebook, so I want to give credit for that, for the beautiful people who put that together. And I got in that class, and I found myself with this book, The Science of Mind, right here. The cover is long gone, and I have stickies, and it's highlighted. And I found myself in a coffee shop in Colorado Springs highlighting like almost every paragraph. It spoke to me. This man, Ernest Holmes, was telling me things that I somehow had always known, and that really appealed to me. And the other thing that appealed to me was, he wasn't saying, if you trust in me, Ernest. It wasn't a dogma. It was trusting in yourself. Wow. You have God within you. You have God within you. You're empowered. So, a little bit about Ernest Holmes. I'll give you some basics. Some of you have heard this, some of you may have not. So for some of you, as we're renewing and refreshing, just a little bit of basics. He was greatly inspired by metaphysical thinkers and New Thought. And when you think New Thought, people think, oh, Age of Aquarius, 60s people, woo. Okay, New Thought was 1700s. There were people, especially physicians, that were realizing you could use the mind and your thoughts to help with healing. They were observing it in their patients, the attitude. And Ernest was studying these. He was studying Thomas Troward. That's a hard one. He was studying Ralph Waldo Emerson. And as he was reading these things, people said, meet with us, teach us about what you're reading. And so he started lecturing. And what happened was, in 1926, he wrote Science of Mind. And then in 1938, it was completely revised. Now, since then we know there's been other revelations and things going on. There always is. Divine is always unfolding higher and higher. But this is such a wonderful basis, and Ernest was always about being open at the top. In different times, in different places, you're going to grow more, you're going to learn more. I think he would be horrified if he thought somebody was quoting from that book and going, on page 37 it says this. It's about understanding. He was very much into the fact that your mind could heal. Your mind could heal you, and that's what we're about. So the first thing in Science of Mind to look at is the symbol. Eric? Okay? And my husband, who knows PowerPoint better than I do, yay, he helped put this together, and this is something that was simple in my book. So this symbol, people get caught up in the symbol, they're like, what, is that like a sci-fi symbol, or what's going on? No. okay? This simply is the creative process. And it's also called a metaphysical symbol in the back of the text. And the reason it's called that is metaphysical means beyond the laws of normal physics, okay? There are laws at work, and there's creative law. So you have a seed, okay? And you can go either way with it. You can have a new idea, a vision, a choice that comes out of the mind of God to you. And you plant it, and it goes through the law. And this law works just like the law of gravity. You know that the law of gravity is here, exactly how it works. We can't explain that. But this law is just like that, and it works. And you plant it in that soil, and you get a new experience. Now, remember how Julie was saying you can't keep digging up the seed? And also, if you plant a radish and you get, if you plant a radish and you're expecting to get a rose, you're going to be really disappointed, okay? So the other way it can work, though, is if you keep putting the old idea in there, the old belief, and it repeats, you get into an automatic pattern, and it keeps validating what you thought. And you can't get out of that loop. Okay? Does that make sense? And the whole thing is God. God really doesn't have a separation between the love and the law and what comes out. There's not. It's just a way for our human mind to visualize how it works. Okay? So another way is there's spirit, there's mind, and the body. This works universal and individual. Does that make sense? And you could do a whole class on just the symbol. So I'm just giving you tidbits for you to study more as you need to. So what happens when you're not planting what you want to get out? In this thinking, what happens? What can you do? How do you change your thinking and the condition? Well, the most powerful way to do that we teach is spiritual mind treatment, okay? And when I first heard spiritual mind treatment, I thought, this is the kicker. This is where they start to get weird. Okay, this is the deal breaker right now. Did you notice how I was always looking for the deal breaker? Because I was like, this is too good to be true. Let's find a deal breaker. So you don't wig out friends and family. You can also say affirmative prayer, because that's what it is. But that treatment part comes from that history of treating. This is scientific. To Ernest Holmes, this is a definite way of thinking that you can use. So with the treatment slide, okay, and this is really simple, okay? You have a treatment. And so if we go to treat with you or pray with you, all right, you have a purpose. You state the condition you desire to change, and you state the changed condition you expect to experience. What do you want? What do you need? And some people, it helps them to write this out so they can see it. Does that make sense? If you're having a hard time believing that you are a prosperous or a healthy person, if you write it out, there's something in that writing that can help you affirm that and know that. So the first part of it is recognition. Recognizing that God is all there is. There is one power, there is one presence, that is God, source, Father, Mother. That is all there is. That is all there is. The second part we do is unification. I am one with God. I am one with that good. That good flows through me now. That good is a part of me. That is my breath, my life. That is who I am. And those two steps, really feel that. Really know that is the truth. There is this one power, and you're on the ride, baby. You're one with it. You are. The next thing is realization. Now, this is the part where what you're praying about, can you let go of your old thinking and accept it and grab on to what is new for you? Can you do that? This is the step where you do that. I accept and I embody my good. I know that now I am prosperous, that I have all the tools I need to have a life where I have plenty of money to give, to share, to play. I am completely guided. God is my abundance in this moment now. You feel it. You see it. You know it for yourself. The last two parts are thanksgiving. I give thanks. I give thanks. Thanks. Because when you give thanks, it makes you feel good, right? And you know it. And then the final part is releasing. I let go and I let God. And the release part is important Because you got to say, I know that it is in the law, that it is done. I know this. I know this. And you have to fully let it go. Let that treatment be. It's its own spiritual entity. Now, the next day, if you feel like you need to pray again, go ahead, pray again. I'm going to tell you a few things that can trip you up to be careful with. One of those things is when the prayer doesn't work like that, we give up. This is not what it was supposed to do. It's not what it's supposed to be. I give up. Well, if you have a pattern of thinking that has steered the ship or your life all the way over here, it's going to take some time to get it back around to this ocean. Do you understand? It's going to take time. There's things working behind the scenes where this person's calling this person, and this person knows this. And then you might have to have a moment where you forgive someone and they forgive you, and you go along for those things to happen. It works through you. It works through you. It's setting your mind up and your ability to understand, I am that. Does that make sense? And you could do a whole, like I said, just going over this treatment. Now, if you don't pray like this, that's okay. But this is, Ernest, this is a systemized way. It's a way to help you. It's a method. It's a very powerful method. It's a tool. Please don't ever feel like, when I first started Foundations, because the way I'd been a student in high school, I was like, oh, okay, so that word's not correct. I need to write this. The universe knows. The universe knows what's in your heart. God knows who you are. You guys are like peeps, right? You're peeps with God. And you've got that in you, so you know. The words will come to you. And if you switch around the steps, found out that's cool too. You can do what you want. I can do Thanksgiving at the beginning. Thank you, God, and I can move on down. All right? So very, very powerful tool. Just remember, you have to believe that you are those things, that you accept those things. So you've got these tools. There's the creative process, and Julie's been working with that. The instructions inside. You've got these powerful tools. Affirmations are another powerful tool. And I tell people, I would use an affirmation when you're in a spot where you're just so desperate. Have you ever been in a spot where you're running from God? Anyone? Where I just need to sit down and I need to turn this over, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to run around and I'm going to do the dishes. I'm going to make another phone call. I'm going to go to work. And you can feel it because inside you're like this. And if you're having a hard time, just start with simple, not sinful. Not sinful, simple affirmations. Simple. I am abundant. I am abundant. I am loved. I am loved. You know what one of my favorite affirmations is, especially when I've screwed up, is I am a learner, and I am continuing to learn, and I am thankful for this opportunity that I have had. I am a learner. I am a learner. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. So in this movement where we've got the freaky stuff, and then we're called religious science by some. What? I remember when I got my practitioner's license, I put on Facebook that I had become a certified religious science practitioner. I just put it out there just to see what would happen. And I was surprised at how many people congratulated me from all different paths. But that took a lot for me to put that out there, because then people are like, religious science? Are you like a Scientologist? Do you know Tom Cruise? Or Christian Science, which we have some similarities to Christian Science. However, with Ernest, it was always, with healing, you can use a prayer and a pill. Okay, so the doctors could be enlightened to help you. You can have healers around you, if that makes sense. So in this movement of science of mind and religious science, there are people who can help us when we're having a hard time. And those people are spiritual practitioners. I am a spiritual practitioner. You have many in this congregation. We're listed. We're here to serve you. And my journey, how I became a practitioner, is I started taking these classes and consuming them, and I really felt, and the next thing I know, I was sitting in a room and I was told, you have the prerequisites to become a practitioner. Wow. And I remember being in a Baptist church when I was very small, like 10 or 11, and I made a commitment to be a missionary. I felt the call and I went forward, and people were shocked. At the age of 10, I felt called to be a missionary because I wanted to help people and show them love and share love all around. So I thought, wow, this is making sense. I've been called before to be a teacher, a missionary. This practitioner path is where I need to be. Now, it's very funny. When I had my old friends who I've had since I first moved here that I see off and on. We don't see each other as much as we used to. But I remember being at a party, and they started asking me what I was doing. And I said, they're like, aren't you going to school for something? And I said, yeah, I'm going to school to do some da-da-da. And they're like, and what is it that you're doing? And so all of a sudden I've got people standing around me with the drinks. You know that moment when you're at a party or something, everybody's got their drinks and they're looking at you? And I said, I'm studying to become a spiritual practitioner. And all of a sudden one lady goes, oh God, good, I have to get my house cleared of spirits. And somebody else ran up and goes, can you do a lesbian wedding? And I said, no to the house clearing, yes to the lesbian wedding. I can help clear the people in the house, not so much the spirits in the house, okay? So that was just funny. People's impression, automatically they thought, oh, so good, we can go to Maura's house and we'll have seances. And then somebody else took it, that I was just doing weddings and things like that, which is part of being a practitioner if you're called. A practitioner, what we do, what Art does, what I do, what Tricia does, what Vonda does, what all of our practitioners do is we see the wholeness in you. We see the wholeness. Because sometimes you can't see it and you can't know it for yourself. And all we have done is we have taken on what it says in Science of Mind, the professional mental and spiritual practitioner is one who has dedicated his or her life, time, energies, and intelligence to helping others through mental and spiritual means and methods. We've just gone public with this. We've devoted ourselves to studying more, to being present for you, to working on our stuff on a regular basis. However, you are all practitioners. If you are studying this, if you are doing this, you're all practitioners. You're all practitioners. You all know how to use the law. You all know how to live with love. All we have done is we've said, I will stand for you when you can't stand for yourself. I will see your wholeness. I will know it for you. And we do that for one another as well. There are times when I have to go to a practitioner and say, I am caught up in an old way of thinking in my mind and I can't break free. And they go, come here, sister, let's go. Let's do a little spiritual mind treatment. Powerful tools. Powerful tools. This is the definition of a practitioner in general. This is who you are, if you so choose. It's the one who attempts to heal himself or herself or another through a recognition of the creative power of mind and the ever availability of good is a mental or spiritual practitioner. Such a one refuses to allow negative thoughts to control their consciousness. They endeavor to greet the divinity in every man or woman they meet. They meet. Every man or woman, they embrace the divinity. That is from Science of the Mind. That's what we're doing here. So today, you have the creative power through Source, and it is always available, ever available. And I would encourage you, and this is the hard part, greet God in everyone you meet. Uh-oh. And Maureen Morley and I were joking about this one time because she goes, even when God shows up at that person who's yelling at you, God's yelling and nasty and in a cranky mood and not being the best, that's still God in there. Somewhere in there. That's just cranky God that day, right? But if you can do that, and if you know that about other people and you know it for yourself, wow. You can be compassionate to others, compassionate to yourself, yet not condescending, right? You can say, I lend you a hand right now, but I know that you have the power within you. Right now I'm just giving you that extra hand. I don't go, oh, poor you, poor Lenny. Oh, he's never going to get it. Ever, ever, ever. That poor, 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 poor Lenny. Poor Lenny.
I volunteered.
There's no pressure. Let's all put the spotlight on Lenny. But we can look at him and say, wow, right now, he might be going through a rough time, but this is just a condition out here. This condition can be changed. How? Through powerful tools and love and spirit and divine coming through, and we know that. Do you see how different you approach people when you do that? When you don't look at them like, oh, you poor thing. When you look at them as, I love you right now, and I know you're going through a hard time, and I'm here for you. Right? See that difference right there? So remember that power is your essence. Your power is your essence. So finally, and this is the closing words in the Science of Mind textbook from Ernest Holmes. What the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of the science prove its principle than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. But the practice of truth is personal to each, and in the long run, no one can live our life for us. To each is given what he needs, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. To all. How we shall use these gifts is all that matters. To hold one's thoughts steadfastly to the constructive, to that which endures, and to the truth may not be easy in a rapidly changing world, but to the one who makes the attempt, much is guaranteed. The essence of spiritual mind healing and of all true religious philosophy is an inner realization of the presence and perfection within and around about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art that which I am. People, this is far from a cult. This is far from a cult. This is about the essence of God within you, guiding you, and you know where you need to go, and we are all here with you and beyond. Let us pray. I acknowledge this one power, this one presence, and I feel and know it in every person in this room. And every person in the whole entire earth, I know this is true. And I am so thankful for everyone who is here, for all the paths that we are on, and as we cross and we teach each other and we uplift one another and we come into our power, understanding the beauty that makes up a human being, what that truly means in all its power and love and light. I give over to this. I give over to this and surrender to Spirit, knowing that Spirit has my life, and I know as Spirit has my life, Spirit has yours, implanting divine, perfect ideas in your mind. And as you are patient and trusting, not digging up the seed, but letting it grow within you, letting your life align to where it needs to be for your highest joy and good, you are completely guided. I am completely guided. And we are here for one another at all times. I declare this is so. I know it is true. And I am so grateful for this life. And I release this prayer knowing that it is done. And so it is.